Good morning. Happy Sunday. I've got my coffee. All right. Today's topic is going to be something that comes up a lot. And I see people and I hear people and I do it myself get really frustrated with themselves for giving in to cravings. And I was doing an article this week for Thyroid School, and it amazes me how much we all do it. Like we're terrible to ourselves because we think we've just got no willpower. We're just hopeless. Why can't we say no to that food and all the things? And I think we need to remind ourselves that so much is going on physiologically in our body, so much is going on emotionally in our minds, that how can we possibly have control over our cravings? So what I wanted to talk about, because I find this kind of stuff fascinating, you may not, time will tell, but Sunday mornings is about me talking about whatever comes to mind. And this has been in my mind the last couple of days because it's really interesting. Now, there's two reasons why we might crave foods, right? Morning. So there's two reasons why we might crave foods: chemical and emotional. Okay? Because if we didn't crave foods, we would just all be perfectly healthy. We would just eat what we needed and that would be it, right? So what drives our food intake is chemical processes and chemical cravings, and emotional processes and emotional cravings. So I've got a bit written down here because I can't remember all of the different things, but it's really, really interesting. Now, chemical that's the easy one, right? And I'll use as an example when women at that time of the month crave chocolate. That's a really common thing. And it's because biologically, our body knows that there's magnesium in chocolate. I don't know how, but that's why we crave the chocolate, because intuitively we go, oh, there's magnesium in there, and we need extra magnesium to calm the cramping, to calm all that sort of thing. Magnesium is nature's chill pill, right? So that's just a really simple example of why chemically we would crave certain foods. Sadly, we don't reach for pure cacao, which is, actually the really good source of magnesium. We reach for the Cadbury's. I don't know how much magnesium is in a block of Cadbury's, but that's what we're doing, right? That's what we're doing. So I'm going to run through. I've got a little list here. So the kinds of foods that we might look for if our body needs certain things. So iron, clearly we'll look for red meat, spinach if we're plant-based, and ice. Ice is a common one in pregnancy cravings because they're looking for the iron, and that's just a common thing to crave. Hi, Lena. How are you? Good to see you. I hope you're well. And, you're up late. That's usual for you. Okay, so we're talking about cravings and chemically. So tryptophan. Now, tryptophan is what we need for serotonin, for making serotonin. And we'll crave sweets and pastries if we don't have enough tryptophan in our body. Tyrosine. So if you've got thyroid disease, the T in T3 and T4 is tyrosine, which is an amino acid. And we will crave peanut butter. How many people crave peanut butter? And peanut butter is really high. Peanuts are really high is really high in tyrosine. So is turkey, and so is avocado. And funnily enough, this last week, I bought an avocado. I just wanted an avocado. So I bought it and I ate the avocado. So does that mean my tyrosine was low? Maybe. I'm not sure. Selenium, we will crave seafood, eggs, nuts, and seeds. Zinc, we will crave salty things, which makes also sense because that's also your adrenals. If you're adrenally fatigued, you'll crave salty things. And also, if your electrolytes are low, you'll probably crave salty things. If you have low dopamine, you will crave sugar and fat. If you have low serotonin, you will crave carbs. Right? So that's just a small snippet of chemically why we would crave things, right? So we're missing nutrients, where hormones aren't working quite well. Our body needs to readjust, so it sends out signals so it gets what it needs. Now, the other thing that can happen chemically with cravings, though, is addictions, right? So dairy foods are highly addictive. They're more addictive. Cheese is more addictive than cocaine. Okay, so there's also, that is a chemical reason. Once you start down that road, it is really hard to pull yourself back. Okay, because your body knows what it's like and your body wants more of it. So I never was a cheese lover, but over the years, my husband has a French mother. So cheese is a food group in his world. And so over the years, I found myself, I can eat more cheese than what I used to. And I would say because I never used to, and then I started eating it with him, it becomes addictive. Your body knows it feels good. So they're a lot of the chemical reasons why you would crave foods, right? So once again, that's not something you've got control over. You've got to give yourself some grace and go, okay, I'm not craving foods because I'm a terrible person, or I'm not giving into the cravings. It's more so that we give into the cravings, right? And then we beat ourselves up for giving into these cravings when we're human. We've got all these chemical processes calling out for this food group, whether it's for good or for bad, whether it's needs nutrients or because we're addicted to that food, doesn't matter. It's still a chemical process that we don't have any control over. But then we've got the emotional reasons for having cravings, okay? So now the emotional can be memories, right? When you're grieving the loss of somebody and you want to experience being with them again. And we don't think this through. We really don't. So we might be doing that. We might also just be wanting to comfort ourselves, remembering being nurtured as a child kind of thing. Again, you don't logically think this through. I had to sit here and think of a few things that I realize are being nurtured and comfort food from my childhood. So Vegemite on white bread on a Sunday morning. It was a common thing for my brother and I to walk down to the shops, get a loaf of hot Vienna loaf, and which I think from memory back then was like 22 cents. Insane. I don't know why that sticks in my mind, but it does. And it was like a fight because my dad really liked the crust. I like the crust too. I don't think anyone else does. It was just him and I. And butter and Vegemite. So that to me is Lena, I don't know if you have Vegemite over in your world, but Marmite, that kind of thing. So that's a nurturing memory to me. So if ever I feel like that, I think I'm reminding myself of those Sunday mornings when life seemed so easy, right? Walking up to the shops to get a loaf of hot bread. So simple. Another thing is eating tomato on toast with a cup of tea. You know the name, but have never tasted it. Have you ever had Marmite? It's similar. I don't like Marmite. It's got a different sort of flavor. It's kind of Marmite and Vegemite. It's kind of like Pepsi and Coke. You like one or the other, right? And so the other memory for me is tomato on toast. You don't have it, okay? It's very strong. It's a very strong yeast flavor, kind of like, it's not like molasses, but like molasses to honey. It's that kind of strong yeasty sort of flavor. I love it, but I'm Australian, so tomato on toast, cut really thinly with salt and pepper on white toast, open-faced, cut in triangles with a cup of strong tea. That's my grandma. That's always remembering grandma. Whenever I have that, something in my head is remembering sitting at her table, and Mum, since you're here, is sitting at her table in Aspley in that house upstairs at the round table having that. That's my memory. So that's another one that comes to mind for me. And ham, cheese, and pineapple on open-faced bread rolls. So all of those memories from my childhood just bring back good times. So the ham, cheese, and pineapple grilled on an open-faced bread roll, that's Sundays. That's people come round and doing a tray of them, and it was just happy times, right? Yeah, Ashley, I was very young. Yeah. And that was usually even with Lisa sitting at the table, my cousin. So these foods, they don't, they form a memory in our brain. And when we want nurturing or we want comfort, we will reach for those foods without even thinking about it because they brought us good memories. So again, we have no control over that. So there's so many other metaphysical reasons, emotional reasons as to why we crave things. And I've written some things down because you can find this sort of information all over the place. And I've had these written down a list for a while. But this list of things is from Doreen Virtue. She wrote a book called Constant Cravings, and I had it many years ago before I started selling all my books. Anyway, so she says chocolate is a craving for love and romance. Craving cheese is a desire for comfort and nurturing. Bread and pasta is seeking grounding and simplicity in life, which makes sense, right? Nothing as simple as a sandwich, no. Craving sugar and candy is craving sweetness in life. Craving salt is a craving for excitement and stimulation. Craving ice cream is soothing and mothering, wanting to be mothered, just wanting someone else to look after you, right? Crunchy foods. Crunchy foods is a funny one because that's repressed anger and frustration. You want to chew down on something. And I find as a carnivore, there's not really any crunchy foods in carnivore unless you get the pork rinds, which or pork crackly. So yeah, if you find yourself and you happen to follow a carnivore and you're wanting something crunchy and that's why you deviate off carnivore, it's look into what's pissing you off, what's making you angry, who do you want to bite back at that you're repressing, because we all do it because we're humans and we know what's appropriate at times, right? So that's really interesting because there are times that we all want crunchy, salty foods. Usually it's because we're just like, Spicy foods is a need for passion and intensity. And coffee is motivation and inspiration, which makes perfect sense, right? So I find it fascinating that we absolutely do ourselves in and we talk really meanly to ourselves because, oh God, I was good all day and then I got home from work and I just ate everything. And it's more than likely because work was crappy. You didn't want to be there. You're rewarding yourself and trying to find a nurturing moment because you did it. You spent the day at work or whatever it is that you did. So you're rewarding yourself, you're trying to up your dopamine, you're trying to increase your serotonin, your body is working, 6 ways to Sunday to make everything right, both physically and emotionally for you. So it's really interesting that we don't stop to go, oh, why am I standing here eating a tomato on toast or tomato on toast with a cup of tea? Oh, those were really simple times. Grandma's not around anymore, right? And I'm possibly remembering not so much her, but the feeling of how simple it was and being looked after. So I'd love to know, Mum and Lena, when you crave foods, what do you crave? Tell me what you crave, because that would be really interesting. And can you connect it to a time or to a mineral or something like that, that makes sense to you? Because some of the things, having a good diet and getting all of the minerals that you need can can cut probably the cravings in half. And honoring, if you want an avocado and you're a carnivore, go and have the avocado. It doesn't, that's not the worst thing in the world. I read in a lot of groups and people that come in and they feel bad and they go, oh, I've had an avocado or I had to have a salad or whatever. And people just get all up in their faces. I find, that fascinating that, well, you can't call yourself carnivore if you ate a salad, and I'm just like, oh, please, Peanuts is interesting. I had some last night, didn't eat them for years. Yeah. So tyrosine could be your thyroid struggling a little bit, which could be stress, could be change in environment, whatever. It could be a lot of things, but peanuts, so many people crave peanut butter. And tyrosine is such a need both for our happy hormones and for thyroid. Lena, you crave chips, Lay's, chocolate and potatoes. So crunchy and sweet and carbs. So you're craving the things that improves your serotonin, your dopamine, your reward center, and you're happy and you're probably crunching down and pissed off at somebody. Do you notice times? Do you notice times that you particularly crave them, or is this a constant thing right now? In which case, yeah, well, and it's funny because when you recognize that, oh yeah, I am a bit pissed off right now, and that's why I'm looking for the crunchiness. Or it could be, you've got to really dig into it. It could be that you are looking for the salty and the salty just came in the form of a crunchy. It wasn't that you were looking for a chip. It's just that you were looking for the salty. I crave it more when you feel bad, frustrated, or sad. Of course, that's the only way you can nurture yourself. So we can't beat ourselves up for that because we're doing the best we can in any given moment, right? We're always doing the best we can. We know some foods are no good for us. That doesn't stop us because our emotional center overrides the physical needs and says, no, we need to feel better. And so our feelings reach for all the things in our memory banks that have made us feel better or have connected us to happy times in the past. It's how our brain works. Our brain, I read something really interesting the other day, and our subconscious does not know any other person. Our subconscious only knows ourselves and our own experiences. And I know that I've learned in the past that if you are triggered by something that annoys you, or a habit somebody has that really gets under your, skin and you can't stand it, you only understand that because you have it yourself, because you're and that I always knew that it's like that saying, you point one finger, three fingers point back at you. You can only understand that trait, that habit that pisses you off if you have it yourself. And it made sense when I understood that your subconscious only knows yourself. Therefore, it could only connect with that habit or trait if it's been through it. Does that make sense? So any cravings that we have, any things like that we're trying to make our life feel better, no matter how bad we mentally know it is for us, it doesn't matter. Our subconscious, our amygdala, our ancient brain is going to be searching for the thing that makes us feel better, because that's all it knows. How do we feel better? Let's reach for a memory that we know, that we understood, made us feel happy. Life was simple. There was not a, care in the world, that kind of thing. So, yeah, we have to literally stop beating ourselves up and start looking at, okay, what is it connected to? Okay, it's connected to that simple time in life when I didn't have a care in the world because I was probably, 8 or something for the tomato on toast. And is life not simple now? How can I make life simple now? So it would be an interesting exercise for everybody to sort of figure out, oh, is it just a chemical thing? I'm craving peanuts. I don't normally crave peanuts. I'm craving peanut butter. I don't normally crave. On carnivore, the funniest thing that's happened to me is that I don't crave salads. And I thought that would be my biggest problem, is that I craved fruits and vegetables because I was plant-based for most of my adult life, certainly. If not, that was sort of my thing growing up. But if I crave an avocado, what's going on? What do I need? And I didn't even connect the dots until right now that, oh, I obviously needed some more tyrosine last week. And that's why I bought an avocado. I ate the avocado and I'm good again now. So I don't feel bad for that. And if I have chocolate, if I have whatever it is, I don't feel bad, because now I'm more and more understanding that we're just finding ways to make ourselves feel better. But here's the thing. If you're constantly finding ways to make you feel better on a daily basis, you need to recognize that and then work on the traumas, work on the stresses, work on why life doesn't feel simple, doesn't feel grounded, doesn't feel easy, which is most of us. Most of us are just doing our best to get through life, right? Until we get to the so-called, us moving to Asia or whatever it is. That's not going to solve every problem in the world. I'm sure my brain thinks that it's going to make life just so much easier. I'm not sure why, but we do think this. We think that it's always over just on the other side. And in the meantime, we're doing our best to get through. So I think the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves, and this is where the inner work comes in yet again. We all dismiss the inner work and working on our feelings and our traumas and our stresses. Yet that's the thing that everything is governed by, almost everything. So I find that fascinating about ourselves as well. And the more I work on myself, the more I understand that, okay, it's just, it's just these things going on in life. And we all have stresses. We all have everyday challenges. We all have things that we're going to go through, because that's the world. That's what we're here for. We're here to experience different things, and they're going to be good things and they're going to be bad things. But I really like connecting the dots, particularly if the chemical reasons for things are addiction, or we need more serotonin, dopamine, those sorts of things. They can tell us so much if we pay attention. And diary, that's why I've always kept what I call the thyroid diary. That's why I released or published a thyroid diary. But whatever diary it is for you, in whatever your situation is, it can help you so much about why you do things. And I think one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to get to know ourselves. Forget what other people think of us. Forget what other people, might be judging us over or criticizing us over. We're all doing the very best we can with what we know and what we understand. So if you think about the fact that your subconscious only knows you, then everybody else's opinions of you and what you're doing, what you're eating, how you're navigating life, same thing. They're coming from their perspective. They can't possibly know what's in your world. That's what finally led me to have weight loss surgery, because I was finally at that point of, well, nobody else knows what I've tried, what I've done, what it's like to walk in my shoes. So does it matter? No. You've got to do things in your life that matter to you, because it doesn't, at the end of the day, matter to anybody else. It doesn't matter who they are in your life, whether they're your husband, your children, your parents. It doesn't matter. Only matters what you think of you and what you need to do to make you feel good. So cravings can give you so much insight into your world. If you want to start tracking them, that would be really interesting to come back and tell me later. Oh my God, I realized that I, crave croissants every day. I don't know where that came from. My French mother-in-law, maybe. So do you think it's a good idea to cheat for once a week or once a month? Here's the thing about cheating. I don't believe in cheating. I call it treating. Because who are you cheating? You're cheating yourself. And are you cheating yourself, or are you just navigating your life the best way you can? You know, I, but here's the other thing about treating, and I'm going to call it treating, not cheating. If you tell yourself, and I've learned this through having many clients over the years, if I tell somebody you can have that food once a week, they're more than likely going to have it once a day. If you tell somebody you can have that once a month, they might have it once a week, right? Because our brain goes, oh, that's my level. We'll just bring it down a little bit. So I tell myself I'm carnivore because generally when I treat myself, it's more keto. But I don't call myself ketovore or anything like that, because I want my brain to know, no, this is my level when life is good for me. Okay, so you've got to decide for yourself. If I tell myself I can have a treat once a month, don't beat yourself up if you have a treat once a week. But your gold standard for yourself is once a month. And you might find yourself, you just do it once a fortnight, because in your head it's, so only you can choose, remember? So only you can choose what feels right for you. If once a month, because it's that time of the month and you know you're going to have chocolate, or you know you're going to have a carby meal and all the things to get you through that time of month because you have shocking periods or whatever, then set it at once a month. And if you have it once or twice more than that, that's not such a big deal. Whereas if you say once a week, often people will go, oh, well, twice a week, 3 times a week. It's normal. It's really normal, which is why I say don't beat yourself up about it. Okay. If what it takes to get you through a month of 80% of the time eating really well, it is so true. We do that all the time, and that's okay. Everyone beats themselves up for these things. We've got enough crap going on in our lives and things that we have to navigate to put that kind of pressure on ourselves. We don't need to do that. Okay. So my biggest thing is do your best, know what your gold standard is, know what makes you feel good. If you're craving other things and you can't stop it, is it a chemical thing? Are you needing something out of that? Is it an emotional thing? Are you trying to reconnect with some time in your life? And if so, why? They're the only 2 things you need to figure out for yourself. And as you unravel each and every thing that you've figured out, then you can do better. Then you can work on that trauma, that stress, that grief, that simplicity, whatever it is that it's telling you that you're craving. I think it's an interesting exercise to do for yourself. And but the whole concept of this video today was just stop beating yourself up. If something's really, really important to you, you'll figure out how to make it happen. Okay. But you'll make it happen based on the emotions and the chemical processes that are going on in your body, not because you can will yourself to do it. Okay. Some people can will themselves and, be all or nothing. But are they happy? You've got to be happy. So that's the main crux of my wanting to talk to you today, is about this. And I'm actually going to do probably a proper video on this to put on the main thing and add a cheat sheet to it. So if that would be helpful, let me know, because I think this is something that we really, really need to get on top of and stop being horrible to ourselves over. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm going to do a proper video on it probably in a couple of weeks, and I'll add a cheat sheet so that you can tick things off and pay attention to what you are craving and try and work out which box does it fit in, the chemical or the emotional. So, yeah. So unless you have any questions for me, then I'm going to call it. Hubby and I are going to go for a walk. It's 7:30. Hopefully it's not too hot. 2 weeks ago, we went for a walk straight after the live, and we went too long and it was too hot. And you'll watch all the videos. Lena, you do not have to, but it might be helpful. I hope everything's all right in your world and that you didn't miss them because of anything bad going on. But it's good to see your face again. I was wondering where you were at. So, oh, yeah, that's a good one. And a few people have watched it. That's been amazing. So it's a long one, but I did my best and cut out all the extra repetitive stuff. So, yeah. All right. I'm off for a walk, and I wish you both and anybody else that's watching in the future a happy day. And thank you. And I will see you all. I'll see you on Wednesday or Thursday. It seems to be my day for dropping the other video. And otherwise, I'll see you next Sunday. Have a good week. Bye.